Byrne.
And I want to again repeat my disappointment that the Minister Doherty, after smearing the opposition, let's be honest, about this bill, ran out the door. The Minister made a number of statements, Count Corla, which don't stand up to any scrutiny whatsoever. And I find it difficult to believe that her script was written by civil servants. The Pregnant Workers Directive entitles women and mothers to 14 weeks maternity leave. It requires them to take 2 weeks. And I'd like the Minister now at some point to go back to correct that. And that's what this bill is about. It's about making sure that mothers have their rights and can exercise their rights, but they can decide, if they so choose, to share that particular right. But the Minister's exposition of the Pregnant Workers Directive is completely wrong, utterly wrong, should be corrected on the floor of this Dáil. And in fact, I would suggest to the Minister that she would read the Pregnant Workers Directive and look it up and see what it says, and look up other countries and see what they're doing. And there's never been a Commission fine. It's complete and utter nonsense. Typical nonsense coming in here to this Dáil. The excuses for opposing opposition bills get more and more interesting and complicated. This is a progressive bill to deal likely with a small number of families who want to and who fully choose to avail of the particular provisions of it and the rights that are given in it. The Minister talked about breastfeeding, and she's right, it is an important thing and it's an important national policy that breastfeeding be there. But which of the young fathers among us hasn't helped their partners, their wives, with express breast milk when their wives want to go out, or their wives want to deal with other matters, or aren't in the family home for that particular day? Most young fathers that I know would be quite expert in assisting their partners and their wives with expressing breast milk and giving, particularly obviously, giving the express breast milk to babies. So this thing about breastfeeding is another bogus argument by the Minister, utterly bogus argument. This bill is about families, it's about mothers, it's about giving them the choice to a very small number of families. We're talking here particularly, I would say, families where the mother is the main breadwinner, or mothers particularly who are self-employed and who don't have the entitlements that many employees have. It is likely that there will be a very small number of people take this up, but it could be life-changing for those who want to do it. No one is going to force anyone to do it. And I would say the Minister's assertion that employers are going to force anyone to do it, I'd say, is actually completely contrary to the facts. I have no doubt that this government has been hobbled by major employers and their representatives in relation to this bill, and that is why they have opposed it. Because when you look at the commentary on this bill, and there has been quite a significant amount of commentary by the major law firms, major recruitment companies, major HR companies have commented on this bill, and I compliment my colleagues for that having got noticed. But who are they speaking to? They're speaking to their clients, who presumably won't want men taking leave unexpectedly in the way that pregnant women can and new mothers can, and partners taking this leave, men and other partners as well. They don't want that to happen. So I suspect that's what this right-wing Fine Gael government has succumbed to. Utter hobbling by industry, by big business, by employers who don't want these additional rights which are contained in this bill given to families. And I think that's really the fundamental problem here. That's the truth of what's happening. And it's been dressed up very nicely by the Minister, but I think it's been dressed up completely wrongly. This exists in other countries. It is taken up by a small amount of people. No issue has ever come before those countries in relation to European law. It is interesting, of all of the major law firms with European law departments who have commented publicly on this bill, not one of them has mentioned the potential breach of the Pregnant Workers Directive. So this is a red herring. This needs to be supported. This needs to go through. This needs to give families the option. This needs to allow them to continue their lives, to do what they want to do. And yes, the Pregnant Workers Directive requires 2 weeks, and likely most mothers will want more out of the 14 weeks, even those who want to avail of this particular measure. But they'll have the choice as to whether they want to give some of it to the father or partner, and that will be entirely up to them. If there are changes to the bill, they can be made at committee stage. There will be a public consultation, pre-legislative scrutiny on this. But we know this is the right thing to do. We don't need to consult with big business to see whether we should put this forward or not. We don't need to take the warnings of the law firms as they warn their employer clients as to this bill. We don't need to go with that. We need to go in this House with what's right to give extra rights and extra entitlements to families. This has to happen. I think Minister McGrath should reflect carefully, because I know he's not one who listens to what big business are saying. So I think I would really appreciate if he would look at this closely. As a Minister in the Department of Social Welfare, that was new information to me tonight. I'm glad to hear it. But he should look at this closely and see what are the rights and wrongs of this, and whether the Cabinet made the wrong choice in opposing this bill this week when it presumably came before you. This is a progressive measure. It is a progressive measure. It is fundamentally misleading to this House to come in to describe it as regressive. It is progressive, and that in fact is a word that has been used by many of the law firms who have been commenting upon this. And as Deputy Lahart has said, the Oireachtas Research Service has come in against what the Minister has said. As the Minister, I believe, said to Deputy Lisa Chambers, Fine Gael are ideologically opposed to this. That's the truth of it. We can see the evidence of those who commented on this bill, who warned their clients and their members about this bill during the summer. They had reason to be concerned about this. They had reason to warn people about this bill. And we find now in this Dáil, Fine Gael coming in opposing this bill with utterly bogus reasons. Gur magat.